I'm about to start. No, we're the two of us. We're about to start. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to our Skype view, and then what we're gonna do. I
Hey, by
want to
the way,
see
I know what you can
Johannes
do.
live. Okay, people want to see you live, man.
Oh, no. Oh,
Jason,
no.
stop harassing Jeff. Okay, all right. I'm gonna switch to Skype because otherwise we're gonna lose a little bit of uh, of focus. Johannes, are you
Yes.
ready?
As ready as I will ever be. By
I'm
the
so
way, I think
excited.
you
Okay.
can go in and turn down the volume on Skype. That way my volume will be lower in your stream.
Okay. So,
Sorry. We can just
audio and
leave it.
video settings. There you go. So, speakers, test audio, microphone level. My microphone automatically adjust. Hold on. Maybe here. Focus right. USB. I changed this. Now this should be
Yeah,
louder. Is it louder? Is it louder? Am I
I can hear
louder?
you better at least.
Can you hear me better? Can you hear me
Yeah.
better? Can you
Nice.
guys hear us better? Good.
But they
Now it's
are replying,
perfect.
dude.
Man, we got it. Okay, so move like 10 centimeters to your left. Because
Me?
basically, yeah, the split screen, your face is almost in the middle.
All right. Here,
There
I'm
we
moving.
go. It's fantastic. Okay, Johannes,
Fantastic.
first of all, hold on. This microphone is taller than me, and I cannot see the screen. So, uh, so let's start with this. Come on, we stole already too much time. First of all, I want to make a very quick introduction about yourself. Now, I did not take any notes, so forgive me if I forget something. You are, for sure, my wife, that's what she said, one of the most handsome guys in 3D, at least in the field of archivism.
Wow, and how did that make you feel?
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said
I
that,
mean,
but it's the
no, you
truth.
shouldn't. No, it's not. It's not. It's not.
I've
It's not.
been following you for, I don't know what, like 3-4 years maybe.
Really?
We should probably go back to our Facebook and see for how long we've been talking. We
Yeah.
met about 2 years ago at the D2 conference. You came to speak. Back then, I think you just quit your job at IKEA. You were working for another agency somewhere in Sweden.
Mm,
I think it
yeah.
was where was it?
Creative Army.
Yes, I remember that. And at the same time, you were slowly building your business, right?
Yeah, I think you could say so. At least the plans were there. We just didn't know that they were going to be serious.
Okay.
So actually, me and Daniel, like starting a business. Actually, are you having? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I, me and Daniel, we started thinking about this actually for quite some time ago, like I don't know, maybe a few years ago, and
For those who
um,
don't know, you're talking about Daniel Rutzwald.
exactly, yeah,
Okay.
that is a problem we're having because I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and I don't think he does either. So it's like Roder or something.
Okay.
By the way, your stream, are are both of our webcams showing in the stream?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
we can only see Fabio. They're
we can
saying we can
only
only.
see Fabio. Ooh, that's weird because it should be set to. Hold on a sec. Display
even
capture.
even more problems. Yeah, I got distracted by that actually.
Why
Well,
is this
maybe that's for
happening?
the better. It's
No,
for the
but
better.
hold on. It should be the both of us. I mean, before I was looking at the both of us. What about now, guys? No, just Fabio. No, just mirror Fabio, basically. What?
Are you streaming the whole screen or just a part of it?
No, the whole screen. The whole screen.
No, because we can only see a part of the screen, like the upper left part of the screen,
The
the
upper
upper
left.
left half.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I resize this. Hold on. Let's see if this works. Is this better?
There I am. I can see myself.
Only Fabio. There he is. Now we can see him. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. You see, this takes a little bit of practice. Jeff Very good that you're watching this because for the next episode we know how to we know how to act. Okay, great. So that means that on the other side of the screen you cannot really see anything, right? I'm guessing so. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah, there we go.
to me, one of the things that really fascinated me in your path is that you were starting basically a freelance gig in a very difficult time for archivists because there were a lot of talented people getting into the scene, doing things without call it a knowledge of how much to charge clients, and the quality started to go up very quickly in that period because rendering engines were getting easier to use. There was a lot of assets that you could find on the internet, a lot of tutorials. Back then you could buy like the masterclass from Grant Warwick for like 300 euros, which could potentially put you at a level of knowledge that was pretty high. So there were a lot of things happening, and it was a very difficult time for people to kind of go independent. But you managed to do that in a relatively successful way. At least this is what transpired from your social media interaction, which some people argue it doesn't really speak the truth. Some other people say actually it's a very good indication of how a business might be doing. But anyway, I want you to tell me how the story is.
Well, so first off, me and Daniel, we started talking about this after I got employed by Creative Army. So when I started there was no plans actually of making a company together. However, at some point we just started to talk about it like in a just in a spoofy way, like just joking around with like, what if we would someday start a company? And we really didn't think that it would actually happen. But after talking about it a little bit, we started to actually make some documents, like writing down how we would actually run the company, what kind of terms and rules and workflows we would have. And then after a while, it's just the thought came natural, and so I resigned and we started this company. And you're right that it's not the best time to start a company. Like there's, as you say, there's a lot of competition. The render engines are getting better and better, which makes it easier for people to create good images. But I'm not really concerned about that actually, because it doesn't matter how good a software will ever be, because the quality of the image comes from the knowledge in like composition and photography and the choice of colors, and the software can never help you with that. So and I think it's going pretty good for now. It's actually too early to say, I suppose. Like we just started this company, and actually we announced it in I think October last year, but officially we started running it the 1st of January this year. But right now we are fully booked until May, so it's the future it looks good, I think.
One thing that is very refreshing to me talking to you is your attitude, especially towards a factor which is way underestimated when it comes to evaluating the future of a business, the future of a business idea, which is time, of course. I mean, it looked like your venture has been in the works for what, 3-4 years before going completely solo. When very often what I do dealing with people that come to me for help is that they want to know how to make a business tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's no shortcuts to this. I mean, we started planning this company, I don't know, maybe 1.5 years ago, or 2 years ago even. It must be 2 years, yeah. And it's a process. I mean, just defining the shape or the profile of your company takes time. Like finding a name, a logotype, like just a graphical profile and everything. It takes a lot of time, and I don't think. I mean, if you want to start a company, you have to be prepared for that. And as you said in your previous live session, I you know, we've been working a lot like on the side. Like Daniel has been freelancing for 3 years, I think, but I am quite new to the own company stuff. But in the meantime, I was hired by Creative Army. I spent a lot of time during the nights, like long evenings and nights, doing personal projects. And I think that's the those personal projects is a big reason to why we could start this company, because we had good material to start with, good material to I don't know, market our company with, and learning
That's
a
a
lot.
key word that we're gonna go and touch later. But
Mhm.
please go on.
Yeah, and it's I would say for personal projects, because I would say for your like personal development, these are the most important thing you could do. Like, because you in personal project you can challenge yourself, and you have the time, and you don't have to worry about a budget, and you can try different workflows, you can try different techniques, and the personal projects that I've done is it's thanks to them that I've been able to like increase my skill, if you will. And I think now this is something I'm trying to do. This is really hard to do. It's practically impossible. But one thing that I'm trying to do is to plan time for personal projects as if they were client projects. Like, okay, so now I have like a downtime. We had nothing to do for a few weeks, so I plan a personal project, and just trying to treat that plan as if it was a client project. Just get it done, really.
Yeah.
Because I think most of the time people get so focused on doing commercial stuff, and they need to get the money and everything, so they forget about their own development.
Yeah.
And the development, at least for me, they do not come through client projects.
Now
So this is really important.
this is a key thing that you said right now, because eventually, um, like talking to other people from the business, it seems like um, the lack of like personal development and doing projects where you try to learn a little bit more. The moment you see that this is not happening for a period of say 6 months or more in a field like ours that it's very closely related to technology, this is a red flag. Like there is something that you're probably not doing that is happening somewhere else, that you should probably look into. And that's
Mm.
because things change from a day to another. I mean, tomorrow there might be a software that will come out and I don't know, will calculate automatically camera positions and so on based on an email that a client sends you, so you don't have to do that part, some sort of like weird AI. And if
Mm.
you don't know anything about it and your competition does, you're basically pushing yourself backward. Now, another thing that you said about the marketing, doing your own personal project, this is something that I always recommend people to do, because the one of the things where a lot of people fail is, they're very good at the technical aspect of working in this field, but they don't manage to brand themselves with something that they are particularly good at. You know, like for instance, in a way, when I look at your work, I'm like, okay, if you want that warm Scandinavia, cozy feel and look for a project, you go to those guys and you don't even have to question them. You just give them the stuff and they will deliver it. And I think that this was a very big part of your own branding in a way. And I think that this is missing in a lot of people that are trying to go into this business, because they simply don't realize it. What they say, "Oh, I've done a beautiful rendering. Look at this. It's just the same as the other one, so I'm as good as that artist." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then they try to put themselves on the market, and they realize that they don't get clients because they don't have that ability to consult a client on what the right thing is to do. And I think that a client, after a while of dealing with artists and people that provide this kind of service, they kind of develop a sixth sense about this, and they know if they're talking to somebody that is guessing, or if they're talking to somebody that knows their stuff and are able to help. What do you think?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that finding your own style is really important. Because no one can be best of everything. So you have to choose. Either you will become the best on a certain quite narrow field, or you will become mediocre on everything. And if you're going to do everything, like all different styles, all different techniques, if you're going to do both like Scandinavian and American and contemporary and Italian styles, and you going to do both exteriors and interiors, and you're going to do virtual reality or whatever, you're going to do everything. You cannot become the best of everything of that. So that's why, I mean, we have focused on doing one kind of images, one kind of style. It's the typical Scandinavian style. We focus mainly on interiors. We practically don't show any exteriors in our marketing because that's simply not what we want to do, because that's not what we're best at.
As simple as that.
Yeah, kind of. So I think you have to choose. If you want to be like a premium company or a premium uh, image creator, you have to find what works for you. And for us, the Scandinavian interior style works best for us because that's what we know. That's what we're good at.
Uh,
Actually, I have since I can just explain because this company, Elusive Images, I run this with Daniel, as said, and we are actually working at distance. So I'm here in southern Sweden, and Daniel is in Stockholm, so it's like 500 kilometers between us. So, and he couldn't be here, obviously, so I printed a little image of him. So maybe. I thought I could tape it there,
yeah,
so he
yeah,
he,
that's
he could be
perfect.
with us. Yeah. So
I said, this
it's
is
gonna fall down.
priceless. Maybe you can keep it here on your chest.
Oh, that's actually like it's close to my heart. It's close to my heart. The funny thing, actually, starting this company with him is that I mean we're really close friends, and we share like all the views and opinions about things. We have kind of like the same, and I think
You guys
I've
met at
heard
IKEA, right?
no, no,
No?
actually not. No,
I
we
was so
first
sure.
no, we didn't actually because he was freelancing for them like a few years after I quit from there, so or a year maybe. But the funny thing is that running this company with him, and I think we've met like 3 or 4 times in reality, like physically, and the rest of our friendship is only built on online communication, which is pretty weird.
I don't think it's that weird. Like,
It's the new life, maybe it's the future.
yeah, like, it depends how you look at it. Like, my dad definitely would think this is weird, but actually, a lot of my best friends at the moment, we basically have like this platonic type of relationship over the internet. That's because the I think that at one point, when the interests overlap in such a way that you can only have this type of connection with a person that it's maybe in Uruguay or in India.
Mm.
You cannot avoid to spend a lot of time talking to these people. Also because I consult with them daily. And I have people that are it's inevitable in a way that I talk to them because I wouldn't know who to talk to about the stuff that I do. I mean, what it's like to be passionate about something and to struggle to kind of like create a normal relationship with people around you that don't understand what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, listen, I wanna go and touch up a little bit on that post that you made of the guy that approached you with like 350 euros per
Oh yeah,
rendering.
my
I
little.
that was a little bit of a funny email, to be honest. At first I didn't really understand that it was somebody asking to get renderings for that price. I was like, okay, this is probably a company that it's offering those renders. And then I was reading, after $3,000 you get 10% discount, and I was like, oh my god, how much are these people throwing themselves down? And then I realized that this was a client asking you to work for that amount of money.
Exactly, and they actually gave themselves this discount, and they just assumed I would approve to that, and why would I?
There is I'm from now and then I go and look at the messages, and there is a girl, Carolina. She wrote, I once worked with a man for 3 years and never got to know his name. Best friend I've ever had. Carolina,
That's
you win a 10 minutes call with me. If you ever are interested, let's do this. No, this is really funny though, if you think about it.
It is actually.
Sorry, I kind of blocked your runs once. Oh, yeah, okay. Probably I've heard already of Parks and Recreation. Anyway, and what did I want to say? Yes, okay. We were talking about, this. I think that on that post there was a very, very, very important comment from a friend of mine, Mike Golden.
Yeah,
That,
very common.
he's a super smart guy, and I made an interview with him. This interview is going to be published in a while because I have a whole bunch of interviews that we are going to publish until the D2 conference. But this guy is a very smart guy, and he's a little bit like, talking to him, it's a little bit like, you walk 350 kilometers in the jungle, you climb a mountain, you kill a dragon, and then you go inside a cave, and there he is sitting, and he's like
Just
such
waiting.
such a peaceful person. And when you talk to him, you really like, you cannot, not agree with the stuff that he says, because he's been a veteran. He worked for D-Box, he was a lead artist, and now he's running his own business. An extremely smart man, and we're planning also to have the same live kind of conversation together. But basically, one of the points that he makes is that sometimes, we shouldn't let these get to us, because it's a waste of energy in a way, to deal with this kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, a couple of months ago, I started to kind of push people to understand what is the right price for an image, which, right, it's questionable because, of course, there are so many variables. But to my surprise, what I've realized is that even trying to make the discussion of how to charge a certain price for an image in the most basic way possible, I realized that a lot of people had zero clue of where to start, and the prices were totally random. I mean, you hear people saying, there was another comment, the Italian guy saying, oh, 450 euros, more than that, nobody will ever hire you. There was this guy saying, a person in I think Greece needs 650 euros a month to survive, so they will work for very little. But I think that what a lot of people fail to understand is that there is an ethic in doing this job. You want to buy the software, you want to buy the right computer to do this kind of stuff. You probably also want to have the right space where you feel creative, So these are costs that, despite the cost of life, adds up, because the cost of life, if you remove all the costs for traveling to conferences, traveling to clients, all that kind of stuff, it's basically a small part of what you should be making. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people just say, yeah, but I live in Italy, so I only need this amount of money. Okay, but if you start low, with inflation and with things changing over time, you basically work without a parachute. So things get worse and worse and worse and worse, and you don't even realize it. And all of a sudden, you're out of business simply because you don't know what to ask for. And then very often what the comment that I get is, yeah, okay, but I need to put food on the table. Then go and work in a freaking supermarket. If
Yeah.
that's the attitude, you like to do renders, do them on the weekend. Become extremely good. Work your ass off. Learn what it's like to pay for a software. And then maybe you will question your relationship with your client when he comes and says, 300 euros for a render. I'm sorry, but that's what I pay a month of 3ds Max license. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think this topic is a bit, I don't know if controversial is the right word, but it's a bit sensitive because in one hand, um, I mean, the fact that prices differ so much is, I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, people work in different countries where the economies are at different levels, and in some country you need a lot of money to survive. Some countries you don't need all that money to survive. So of course, prices will always differ between different parts of the world. Uh, on the other hand, like let's say if a Swedish company, because we have a few companies in Sweden that are offering 3D images, pretty good images actually, really cheap. But they don't do the images themselves. They just take the job and then they send it through to, I don't know, India or China, and they're just using their cheap labor, and they're taking half of the profit, I guess. They don't do anything. They just take the project, send it over offshore, and but I mean, this if let's say Sweden, for example, goes to there's a company in Sweden asking India for making someone in India for making images because they want it cheap. Or if they go and ask someone in Sweden, which is a lot more expensive, to that company, it doesn't really matter who they're working with because they're still working online. I mean, most of our clients, we don't meet them in person. We're trying to, but when just working, we don't meet. We work online. So if we are located in Sweden or in India or China, it doesn't matter at all to the client because I mean, it makes no difference for them. But the big difference is that they have to pay 1/20th of the price.
Yeah.
And that is something really hard to overcome because we have to compete with that because I mean we have to somehow you know I mean if we are 20 times more expensive than companies in India, for example, we still play on the same terms. I mean we cannot use the fact that we're living in the same country because that doesn't matter to them.
But in a way, I do think that this is some sort of like self-assessing situation. What do I mean by that? If you work with certain clients, another thing that Mike said, if you get a company that is building a very large project or very important project, very high end, very good quality, uh, for them to have a meeting, if you go and actually see how much it costs to keep all these people in one room and make a meeting, it will be higher than the cost of making, say, 2 images.
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
take like 10 executives, you put them in a room for half an hour. If their hourly wage is $500, that half an hour times 10, it will be like $10,000, that they spent in getting together and organizing a meeting. So very often you see that some clients actually don't want to work for cheap with cheap companies, and I think it's just there is a very cool webinar that I did in the past with this guy Chris Do that says, in a way, surviving business is some sort of like evolutionary process. A lot of people will start doing it and they will be very motivated at the beginning, but in the long run it will be just those who will hustle that will survive. you know
Mhm.
because of course you have to keep your focus for, say, a very long time. And the thing is that after those 10 years, if you do survive, you will be the only one that survived, and companies will know that. Even if there will be companies that will try to go for the cheaper guy, or will try to hustle your prices down, there will always be those companies that will look at this aspect and say, you know we just have to stick with him because 10 years of success, it probably costs a little bit more than the guy that just started now and is trying to do everything for super cheap. This is
Yeah.
one thing. Sorry, were you saying something?
No, I was just agreeing.
One thing that I want to say to the people, because at the moment, I don't know, do you have a counter also? Do you see how many people are watching? Because it says 61 to me.
58. That's strange.
Okay, well, that's fine. I just wanna, give the possibility to people to ask questions. I didn't say that. I'm sorry. But we're gonna be talking probably another 20 minutes. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Great.
I think speaking of like starting companies and pricing your time, I think that, I mean, if you are cheap, because many people go into this business thinking that I have to be cheap to get clients because they don't have the self-esteem to think that they will actually make it if they are hiring price. But if you say from a client perspective, if you have a artist that works cheap, what do you think about that artist? Do you think he will be professional? Do you think he knows what he's doing? Probably not. As a client, if you go to a really cheap artist, you don't expect to get anything. And probably if you are working cheap, the client will actually just mess around with you and demand lots of changes and everything because they don't trust your experience or your, professionality. While if you are expensive, even if you're just completely new to the market, if you are expensive, you will get a lot more respect from the clients because they will just assume that you are good at this. So basically, being expensive is it's a good thing for everyone because it will get you the better clients, it will get you more respect, and it helps keeping the value in our art. Now, the problem with being expensive is, of course, that you have to actually deliver good stuff according to your price.
Yeah.
But just being cheap doesn't help anyone.
No, that's the thing. I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions when people say, I'll start cheap and I will eventually learn, I will eventually get better and then I will make more money. And actually, this is one of the biggest issues to start cheap and then, make it into. And it's not only about our business. If you think about it, any kind of other industry that had the same issues. If you think about the automotive industry, it took a very long time for brands like say the Italian Fiat to be considered not the cheap Italian car for the Italian regular worker, but to be considered a normal car. Same with the Skoda, which now is produced by Volkswagen and is just as good. So it's an actual problem that people don't seem to realize, and I think very often it would be better for people to just say, okay, I have to accept the fact that I have to work for somebody and I have to learn from these people. But even there, you have an issue because when people say, okay, I have to work with somebody and maybe learn from that person, they expect that person to teach them. Even there, the idea of learning and becoming good at something, it's an active process. You should really put your mind to it. You cannot just expect to work for somebody and learn there. You have to kind of go there and hustle and really prove yourself that you can do stuff, and that's how you will learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you go into a freelance market and let's say you are working for half the price as everyone else, you will get double the work. Yes, you will get double as much client, but that also just means that you will work twice as much as everyone else, but you still earn the same amount of money. Where's the logic in that? And I actually have a few. I have friends from the past that are or were 3D artists, and I mean they did a good job and everything, but they didn't take their work home. I mean, they were employed and they did the work and they went home and they did something else. And I mean, that's if I compare like me to those people, they haven't come very far. Maybe okay, in this case, maybe they don't have the interest for it, but I mean, if you want to come somewhere in this industry, you have to take your job home. You have to spend time like late evenings and nights, and like I said before, doing personal projects and just just don't go home and watch TV or play games, but instead do more 3D. Just work more outside of work.
I have a couple of questions now. I just want to take a second to read them through, otherwise I'm not able to follow you. Okay, so let me just read them quickly. Quality, interior. Question for Johannes. Does having a friend as a partner helps, or you guys are scared that it might ruin the friendship? Money, not the best. Okay, that's a very good question, Herald. I'll repeat it. Question for Johannes. Does having a friend as a partner helps, or you guys are scared that it might ruin the friendship? Money, not the best. Money and friendship is not the best, So you can answer this. I'm going to read through. I also have a little bit of an input, but go ahead.
That is actually nothing that I'm afraid of, and I don't think he's afraid of that either. Our whole friendship is actually based around the 3D and the fact that we are thinking very alike on things. I mean, it's quite rare that we are having different opinions of things, which I think is essential. But still, we are also like I don't know, fixing each other's weaknesses. Like for instance, he's the realist. He's the one that holds back, like this might not work, or this we have to work this out a bit more thoroughly, while I might be the optimist that just throws myself into things and like, yeah, let's have a meeting with this client and call and let's go there. And he's like, maybe we should prepare a little bit first. So I think we complement each other pretty good. And when it comes to like economy and money, we are setting up a system to be sure that money will never like come in between us, like a way of actually. So our company would actually be built on three companies, where I have one company, Daniel has one company, and those companies together owns 50% of Elusive Images. So that means that even if I, for example, want to buy a car on the company, Daniel can never say, "Hey, no, I don't want you to buy a car in the company," because that is my company and not his. So it's a technical way to just sort things up to get rid of all these I don't know things that might become issue.
Okay, I see. So it's a very like democratic way, put it that way.
I think so. Yeah, we're trying to eliminate all the possible.
I think that sometimes it's also like when you truly share the same vision, for something, you kind of like at one point you just have to trust, even if something seems not to be 100% right. You just need to have a little bit more trust, just to let things go and see how they evolve. And then if things don't evolve good, then it's
yeah. And I mean, as a person, you have to be able to take some critique. Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to, if you do something that is not very good, you have to be able to hear that and act on it in a good way. And I mean, me and Daniel, we're having our discussions. I mean, there's no doubt about that. We are having our discussions, but we always, yeah, exactly, kind of like virtually online. But we also come up to a good solution. I mean, sometimes we have to back off, and sometimes we have to like agree on things we don't really like. But we're doing that for the sake of the company and not for our personal interest. So that's also something we have to take a lot of thoughts into. Like, this is a company we're running, and our personal views does not always apply to this company. What's best for the company.
I think also one important aspect, and I tell this to everybody who goes into freelancing, because one of the biggest mistakes that I see freelancers do is jump into freelancing and thinking, I will figure out these things later. But
Mhm.
actually, freelancing in a way, and don't get me wrong, we're always talking about the majority of people. Freelancing, in order for you to create a sustainable business, freelancing really only is a transitional period. You know what I mean? Like, you can just do that much as a freelancer, and then if you want to continue doing whatever it is that you do, you have to take some sort of direction, sometimes relatively quickly, because you can freelance for a couple of years, 2 3 years. But then in order for you to grow economically, you need to start thinking, okay, I cannot take care anymore of emails, I cannot take care anymore of like answering the phone, I cannot take care of all these tasks that take time away from me and don't allow me to. So a lot of freelancers don't think of that. They say, I'll be a freelancer, I'll be fine. And they don't look at future growth strategies. And this is a problem. Having a friend, you know, in the case of, for instance, the D2 conference, I can tell you, with my partners, I have the perfect mix in a way, because I can bounce off ideas and I'll see if the ideas keep turning back. It's probably a good thing. If they die, then it's I got some sort of like feedback loop that kind of helps. And I think it's probably the
Exactly.
same with you. Creativity.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
also.
without being two people, I mean, if I would start this company alone, for example, or start freelancing on my own, I would never be able to come up with a few things or any of those things that we've come up with by, sharing ideas and bouncing balls between each other's uh, to develop things that, I mean, workflows, for example, or marketing strategies, or uh, everything that involves running a company. I could never have figured all these things out myself, but having someone to discuss this with, it always creates new thoughts, and it develops naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. There is another good question, which I think it's very close to what you just discussed. Um, Turbo One asks, regarding self-marketing, what platforms and what approach work best in your opinion? So how to get noticed while new to the market?
Um, this is I can only base this on my personal experiences living in Sweden, and I mean we see that for instance social medias uh, does actually not work very well for us, like in our marketing. I mean, we've both me and Daniel have been able to create some kind of name for ourselves, like some kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say celebrity, but it's something that matter. Many people in the 3D industry know about us,
Mhm.
but to my surprise, actually, when I'm coming out to clients having meetings, they have no idea who we are because they are not following the 3D business. They're not into the 3D community, and having this kind of celebrity-ish thing in 3D market or 3D community helps us nothing at all, actually.
Can I just say one thing? I agree with you
Mhm.
partially. There was a webinar that I was watching from the same guys from the future, which is this fantastic website. They're more focused on like graphic design, logo design, all that kind of stuff. But yes, you see the ideas and the concept behind, they kind of overlap all the time. And actually, some of the people that are asking for my help, they also come from the graphic design realm. Anyway, one of the things that was stressed out in one of these videos is that clients actually play a very like, oh, I am stupid, I don't know anything kind of game. And they do that more often than we actually assume. So, this is something that we should, in a way, keep in the back of our head, because, clients are trained by the same consultants that train, young artists and young companies that, want to grow, to how to counteract these negotiation strategies.
Mhm.
Off the top of my head, one that they use all the time is, yeah, for future projects we want to work with you, so give us a good price now. This is one of the biggest lies that
Yeah.
was, ever invented to kind of lower prices when working with exterior services.
Yeah.
Another one is, for instance, try to avoid any uh, written confirmations, just work on like sending emails, sending files, and expect, replies from the people that you're getting services from. And in this way, they delay payments. And this is something that, for instance, you can actually avoid by being completely blunt and say, listen, we never got your deposit, we never got your confirmation, please do it. Now, there is a
Mm.
book from Tim Ferriss, which is this, famous the 4 hours Workweek, where it says, just write the client from another email and say, Julia, our business manager, will get in touch for the deposit, so that the
Yeah.
client question the size of your company, how many people are working. And in a way, very often when I talk to other people, they say, yeah, but this feels a little bit like cheating. Yeah, but I guarantee you the clients on the other end, they're doing the same. And it's a game, it's a little bit like a strategic game. Anyway, I know that this is probably a little bit of a break.
Yeah, but I think on that topic actually, I think what everyone should do, this is a thing that we have started or are going to start to do also, is to always demand down payments, if that's the right word. Like, always send a partial invoice before the project starts. And we will not start the project until that invoice is paid. Simply because, well, first, it's not that we need those money, maybe, but first of all, it's a way to test their ability to actually pay. Like, are they going to pay
Yeah.
or not? Because we've been doing work for clients which seemed really serious, really promising, and they didn't pay. And then at the time, we like when we sent this to the government or the government, I don't know I don't know what's it called in English, but there's a governmental institution or something that demands, like, makes people pay. And by that time, he had put his company in a, what's it called?
Bankruptcy.
Exactly, bankruptcy. So we never got any money from that. And I think that's, especially working offshore, that is a big problem. Offshore always make sure to get paid first. Uh, maybe not because you don't trust them, but just to test their ability to pay.
No, I'm 100% with you. Quick,
Also,
quick thing. Sorry, just because we never really answered how to market yourself and which platforms.
right.
Sorry,
Yeah,
let's go
okay, yeah.
back.
Let's go back to that first. I think the best marketing strategy that I mean, we're quite new to this, so I'm not saying that we're like professionals in marketing in any way. But what seemed to work good for us is to just get in contact with potential clients, book meetings, and go there. Like, and then I see we travel to the client because, first of all, we're the kind of company that we don't want a lot of clients. We want a few clients, but we want to have a good personal relationship to these clients, and we want to build trust and loyalty with our clients. And we don't want to become like a shit. I am losing my words all the time.
It's
Never
okay.
mind.
You're tired.
Yeah, I guess I am. But anyway, so we travel, and now it might be quite expensive. Like, if we have clients in Stockholm, I live in southern Sweden. It may cost me like $400 or $500 every time I'm going there to meet clients because I have to go there, flight tickets and book hotels and everything. But that is not a cost. It's an investment. And because if we get that client, those $400 or $500 will mean that we get maybe $100,000. I don't know. In the end, in the long run. So that's an investment, and building trust and loyalty. To do that, you have to have eye contact and you have to shake hands with the client. I mean, if you don't do that, you're just one among everyone. So doing that kind of like puts you in a position where you have an advantage of all other, I don't know, studios or artists. So I think that's our approach to do it. Just go out there and meet people, meet clients.
I totally agree with you. Jeff says nothing will ever replace face to face in business, full stop.
Exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
true, you know. Uh, One thing that we try to do ourselves, even if, for instance, you know, it always happens that, you know, some cool young architect is coming to us and says, well, you know, we kind of want to do some images. We know that you guys do them. We have seen stuff that you have done. We don't have the money to pay you. We say, okay, realistically, what can you afford? And they tell you, we have this budget. We still try to approach the project, if we like it, of course, into like as a whole filler in our pipeline. We try to put it inside and get it out, but with the same kind of attention. We still do face-to-face Skype calls. Clients get annoyed sometimes, you know, but we say, let's talk. So, you know, we call, and then after the call, you see them that they're so much more relaxed, you know? And you kind of establish this face-to-face in a way, which is extremely important. And, you know, the reason why I was saying this thing about the cost of an image is because very often what happens is that if a low-cost image comes inside, like a low-cost job comes inside, people tend to say, who cares, we'll just do it, you know, and we'll get the client out. No, if you do educate the client and tell the client, listen, this time we'll give you a pass. We understand your intentions and we are excited to work on this project, but do understand that this is not what we usually charge. The only thing that we should negotiate is the time for delivery. You know, we cannot give it to you in 1 week, you'll have to wait 3 weeks. And some clients, you know, they react okay to that. And very often these clients have come back to us saying, you know, now we do have a big project. What is it going to cost us? And since they worked with us already in the past, they're gonna be like, okay, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And there's only actually like one occasion that we would ever approve lower prices or like to let go of our terms or demands in when it comes to pricing and delivery time and all that. And that is if it's a client that we really, really, really want from the beginning. Like we really need this client. This is kind of like a prestige client or something. Then of course we could lower our demands. But for other clients, we would never do that. I mean, if some clients come and they say that I want to pay $100 less per image, and we say no, this is our price, and if you don't like it, go to someone else. I think it's
That
that's the only
works.
way.
That works. You know,
It does actually, and we've had clients that said, they thought our services was a bit too expensive. I mean, I know we are a bit expensive, and they went to someone else, and a few months later they came back to us, said that, hey, we bought these images, and we didn't get our apartment sold. Can you do new images for us? And we did new images, and they sold their apartments immediately. So the quality of the image is really, really important for like this, what to say, sellability of the apartment. And if they would have approved our prices from the beginning, they wouldn't have to pay twice for the same images.
It's called the eBay effect, you know? Sometimes what happens is that you really want a product, and then you find some sort of like Chinese ripoff on eBay. You try and buying it, you receive it, the product is shite. You buy it again because you say, oh, maybe it was a glitch in the manufacture. The product is still bad. You end up buying the original product that you really wanted, plus 2 Chinese iterations, and you end up spending more money. In the long run, you don't do this anymore. You just say, okay, I'm buying the product that I want from day zero. And that would make you, and eventually what happens is that you will adjust your attitude towards this, as both as a client and as an artist. When you start to see that you're working for too cheap, and you simply cannot manage to keep your business going for the money that you're asking, what happens is that you start to tell people, okay, I don't want to work, I don't want to do this anymore. And you kind of find ways to work around the fact that you cannot get enough money from making images. This has happened to me as well. I mean, then I kind of moved into another spectrum of the industry, but this is because I ended up doing another thing better than making images. But we're still working in production, and I'm doing client acquisition and business growth and all that kind of stuff. But that was a self-assessing process, and I ended up doing that only because I never stopped working. Which is an issue that I find with a lot of people that come to me and ask for, as you said in the beginning, a shortcut. There is no shortcut.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, as I mentioned uh, before this stream, we were talking, and I mentioned there was a thread on the Corona forum, like a few years ago, maybe, and someone explicitly asked for the trick of making Bertrand Benoit's images, and what's his trick to make his images. And one thing that people has to understand is that there is no trick. I mean, if you go, for example, modeling, there are loads of tutorials on modeling online. There is no reason why you cannot learn anything. There are loads of tutorials for shading, for texturing, for lighting, for retouching. There are tutorials for everything. You have everything you need to learn how to make good images. So why aren't you making good images? What's the key to make good images? And that is, of course, experience. It is not technical knowledge, it's experience. And experience, that is, you cannot learn experience. You have to experience, hence the word. So, I mean, it's just, there are no shortcuts or tricks or anything. You just have to dive down in the shit and start shoveling,
You need to like to get dirt in the shit.
Yeah, kind of like.
It's fine, I mean, I follow a lot of these motivator guys. Sometimes probably it's a little bit too much, but the attitude of the successful people is that you cannot be afraid of getting disappointed. I mean, in a way, work is always work. And people really believe that this is some sort of like magic, beautiful wonderland we live in. I mean, it's a job, and you really have to like what you're doing. It's never easy. There is no
Exactly.
shortcut.
And I mean, in the beginning, when I started doing 3D, like I was actually freelancing for IKEA before I got hired at them. And I had some clients, and I was really new to this, and I was working too cheap, and I felt like every time I lost a client or I didn't get a job, it felt really bad. Like, oh shit, I lost money. This is not good. And how will I ever make this? And when that happens, it's easy to start lowering your prices and try to get that client back and everything. But I think you just have to drop all that. You have to realize that it doesn't matter if you lose a client. It doesn't matter if you lose 10 clients, because if you get one, if you're charging enough, you can live out of that client for now. And I mean, the other day, we lost a project worth about $50,000 that would have been going like a whole this autumn. And there were some issues with the legal aspect, and we lost the project. And we're like, I mean, that's a lot of money, and it feels bad, but still, I mean, it's not the end of the world. There are other fishes to chase.
There is a question from a girl. She's asking if you're going to continue doing tutorials because you're an extremely good teacher. Now, for those who are watching
Thank you.
that don't know, you have a Patreon page, which is actually very successful, where you post content, videos, tips, tricks, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I can address that, because actually it was quite a long time ago.
That was a great idea to do that Patreon.
Yeah. Who did that come from? I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
Okay, so it was actually Fabio's idea. So he should get some royalty for that, but I'm too cheap
Now,
to do that.
when people come to me and be like, "Oh, so really you help people making money?" I'm like, "I fucking do, yeah."
Yeah, yeah, actually he does. He does. So anyway,
No,
the
but I'm very proud
Patreon.
of you. This is a lot of work, and to be honest with you, I've been following a couple of clients trying to do the same thing, and what you've done, it's stunning. Like from the
Thank you.
image, curing the image, the marketing, and all that kind of stuff. Hats off to you, man. Really, like that was I was not expecting
Yeah.
you implementing that the way you did, and I have to say, if people are watching this, go take a look because it's really like it's fantastic.
You're actually making it hard for me now because I'm Swedish. Swedish people are modest. They can't take compliments. So I'm kind of like I don't know how to react on this now. But anyway, thank you. And about the Patreon, actually, uh, I did decide to close the Patreon to everyone's disappointment. But you know, in the last couple of months, I have uploaded I think one video for I don't know 3 months, and obviously that is because of the company, because of everything going on right now, and just haven't had time, and I have to prioritize.
Yeah.
So I did set my Patreon page on a pause. So I still have my patrons, but they're not getting charged for anything. So that's also because I get a lot of questions about when will you open the Patreon again, and probably I won't, sadly, because I have to prioritize differently. And but still, well, both me and Daniel, of course, we've been talking about this. We will open a blog page on our site where we will start like making offs and everything. So the teaching or the tutorialing will not end. It's just gonna, it's the frequency is going down a little bit.
Yeah, but it's inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, we really want to build this business. We really want to make it serious. So it's just a priority we have to make. It's the sad but truth because I really appreciate all the followers and everyone that likes to and everyone that follows Patreon and all the nice and the compliments and everything I get from that. So it's with with hard feelings that I have to like put that aside.
No, I understand it, and it's a little bit like the famous filmmaking rule: kill your babies. Now Patreon
Mm.
is a little bit like your baby, but
It is actually.
in order for you to do something better, you gotta kill it, and it's sometimes it's unavoidable. Actually, I think it's one of the best strategies that you can adopt in doing anything. Sometimes
Mm.
clearing up your mind and just focus on one thing is actually the key to pursue that thing and do it extremely well.
Exactly. I have a little like a motto or a saying. Don't work for money, work for experience. And it's kind of the same as Casey Neistat. Everyone knows about him. He stopped doing his daily vlogs, and people got mad about that because they all love that. But he did that for a reason, and that's kind of like the same here. And the same goes to everything. Like if you are employed somewhere, let's say you get a new job, and you're there, you're working, you get a lot of new experience. But at some point that will stagnate and you will become just a worker and you will not learn anything from that company, from that workplace. That is the time when you should be starting to think about moving on. Like if you gain no experience, if you're only working for money, you're doing it wrong. So then move on to the next place, take a new employment, resign and start working somewhere else where there is new experience to gain, to learn. And this is kind of like the same, stopping or resigning from Creative Army and starting this company. It's a new experience. And one day, maybe in 5 years, 10 years, I don't know, if ever this company, comes to a point where we gain no more experience, we learn nothing from it, maybe we will resign. I don't know. But for now, this is a new experience, and always chase new experiences. That's kind of like a motto I'm having. That's also why I will have to put the Patreon page aside because that was an experience for me. I learned a lot from that. I mean, teaching you learn by teaching. But at this point, it's not gaining me that kind of experience that I need, so I have to do something else.
I think this was put beautifully. Now I'm in a forum for like young entrepreneurs here in Tel Aviv, because I moved to Tel Aviv recently, and one of the things that people are pushing quite a bit is actually this change of attitude towards money, because money really is a value that is momentary. Like today you get this amount of money, tomorrow you might not. Things can change. And also
Exactly.
this is proven also by things like cryptocurrency. Everything is questionable, but experience and skills, those will remain with you. And in a way, you will always be able to use what you have learned in the past to your favor. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Now, when I talk to people about this, people say to me, yeah, tell that to my landlord. Yeah, we're not saying that you should be working for free, and we're not saying that you should starve. It's just that you should be smart to make sure that you are covered with all your costs, and make sure that you don't go bankrupt. But at the same time, you should invest in yourself, but actively, you know?
Hmm.
And sometimes
Absolutely.
I'm guilty of that myself, because I bought like 200 courses on Udemy and I haven't done one.
That is
I was like,
procrastination, my friend.
no, come on, man. I make like 3 videos a week. You know how long it takes to make one single video.
Yeah, yeah.
We recently launched the D2 conference. That was a hell of a lot of work. We are involved in so many different activities. But anyway, there are some comments of people saying that they love Casey Neistat. Guys, don't worry. I am the new Casey Neistat.
Yeah, we got you instead.
I'm 3D Casey, okay? Just
3D KZ.
bookmark that.
Yeah.
Trademark. Dude, listen, we've been talking for
Right.
an hour and almost 20 minutes. I think
Mm-hmm.
we have overdone what we first did. I just want to say to the people watching, we're gonna probably do some other of these things. There is next week um, an interview with Jeff Mottle, the founder of CG Architect. He's a pillar in this industry, and that interview will be one of those interviews where I just shut up and he will talk, and he will talk, because Jeff is just like one of the people that, for instance, sometimes I just take a little bit of time off, cool off, and just listen to him. We chat, and I always learn something. I don't know how that guy does it. It's
He's a machine.
yeah, he really is. He's been there for. Are you sure about that, Jeff? I'm gonna tickle you, and then you left to talk.
You're
But
putting
anyway,
pressure on him right now.
I know. But we're gonna do another couple of these lives. I think that it's a good way to kind of share a little bit, the experience of doing this job and being in this industry. Because I understand, not everybody can come to the D2 conference. Not everybody he's close to other artists. Very often people are a little bit shy to talk to other artists. Although I do have a success story when talking about being shy. There is a Russian guy that always come to the D2 conference, and I don't want to say the name because I don't want to embarrass him. But every time that this guy would come, he would say to me, he would write me in private and be like, Fabio, I'm a very shy person, but I need to do networking. So
All right.
every time that he would come to the D2 conference, I would take him by the hand and take him to all
Like
the people that
push
I,
him around.
yeah, to take
It's
him
like
to
the
all,
wingman in the
yeah,
bar. Like,
yeah,
hey,
exactly.
have you met this guy?
I was like the Barney Stinson of 3D, like taking him
Exactly.
around. And the funny thing is that doing that just as a joke, he kind of like opened up to this. And now you
Hmm.
have to see him. He's a very successful guy. He doesn't run his own business, but he's working. He's very busy. He travels around, and I think he really is pushing himself, and I appreciate this in people. And I don't know. I just thought mentioning it because people very often, everybody has different views on this theme, you know. And to me, the most important thing is just to put yourself out there. And if we have the chance to do that passively, you know, by making some sort of shows like this, I think it's a win-win for everybody. At the end of the day, you know. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. I was just agreeing. I had nothing to say.
Dude,
But
I
yeah, I
think
agree.
you and I will meet each other in Vienna.
Yeah, I'm going to the D2, so and everyone should, of course. So
I didn't say that you should have
can
said
I,
that.
no, but can I get yeah? So everyone, yeah, Fabio didn't say this, but everyone should go to the D. What is it, Eventbrite or something, or the D2conferences.com and buy
You
their
can
tickets to
find
the
it on
D2.
the D2 conference,
So
yeah.
yeah, and not for Fabio, it's for me. I want to meet everyone. So go there for me.
So you see, he's gonna be there. Come and meet him, and yeah, we'll have a good time.
And we can talk about photorealism and lighting
Probably people don't know that, you know, the beer at the D2 conference is free.
but is it cold?
It's cold, of course. It's
Is it
cold.
cold?
Yeah,
Really?
of course.
Oh, good. Nice. It's
But
both
you have
free and
been to the
cold.
new venue, right? You have, yeah.
Yeah, I have, but I couldn't remember. I
It's
thought
cold.
I
Of
remember
course, it's
that.
cold.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yes, guys, there are tickets. Unfortunately, the early bird they got sold in 23 minutes. This is it blew my mind, you know. But we
You
still
will
have.
have to get you will have to get a bigger venue actually soon.
We are currently. I cannot really share a lot, but you know, it could be that with next year we're going to make it happen. But just, you know,
You know
Daniel,
what you
I think
should do?
yes. Tell me.
You should have two D2 conferences every year. One
Okay.
pre-summer, one post-summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it will cost too much for people to do them both.
Well, probably.
But anyway, guys, go just Google D2 Vienna. You will find all the stuff there. Unfortunately, only full price tickets are left, but they're also running out. Like, surprisingly,
Full price.
he paid the full price. He was too
Yeah, I
slow.
did.
I'm sorry. I really, you know, I have to say, I hope that Christian and Jason are not going to kill me, but to me, the D2 conference is a big party. And in the past, I had a little bit more leverage because, you know, I was doing all this noise. So, you know, I was like trying to invite people and I really wanted people. So I was giving discounts. They told me either you fuck off or you're out of the company because, you know, if we leave it in your hands, economically speaking, we're gonna go down. And I was like, you know, you kind of have to accept that. This is not a strength of mine. You know, I like to make the
Well,
party.
the conference it's not a charity, and everyone
Yeah.
understands that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, to be honest, you know, I have to say that our the people that come and talk, you know, they help us out. They know that we don't have a huge budget. Most of the money that comes in to us, it's a marketing event. So, you know, most of the money that comes in, we try to spend it for all the activities related to the conference. And sometimes, you know, it's a struggle. It's a struggle, believe it or not, you know.
yeah, I would assume that just the whole planning phase and everything like preparations, that must take a lot more time than people actually think it does.
It's not as simple as people think. And you
No,
know, we
I can
have
imagine.
hiccups all the way to the beginning of the conference, you know. So it's like I don't wish anybody to ever find themselves in a situation like this because it's stressful and you age quickly. Look at these wrinkles.
Yeah,
Dude, listen, I
it's
took
like
too much.
Obama's hair.
Yeah, exactly. I took too much of your time. I just want to thank you again for doing this. I wanna, you know, I wanna give you a very big digital hug, and eventually, I really
Can we
hope
like
that the people will appreciate this talk. If you're new here, do consider subscribing. I make videos every week, videos related to arts, digital design, rendering, architecture, visualization, how to be a better person. Last week I posted a video about striptease, but that was for my friend. It's fun stuff to watch, so you know, enjoy. Dude, thanks a lot
nice.
again. I'm gonna stop the
Thank you
streaming.
for having me.
Don't go anywhere so that I can say goodbye, okay?
All right.
All right.
Okay.
I'll see you in a bit. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.
Bye, people.